It's drawn. The dividing line is between people who have money. Greed is universal human trait. It's not always race-based bigotry, but it's always there, and it's always the line between people who deserve to be treated as human beings and people who don't.
But I wouldn't exactly make that fall on the eyes of whether you're compassionate or not. I just make that fall on whether how you think those that you should treat those kind of people. I can be bigoted towards you because you wear glasses, but it doesn't mean that I don't have compassion.
But you're drawing a line that says that I'm not one of the people who gets that compassion.
Really? Because
if you're being bigoted towards me, then yeah, you're cutting me off from that good treatment you're giving, in this case, people who don't wear glasses.
Okay, I see your point. Okay,
so
I would say you're right about that. But in this case,
What's he right about?
About treating people differently because you're not giving them any kind of, that means that you're not giving that falls on the line of compassion because you're treating this person a different way that you're treating this person. I don't know. I just have a hard time of thinking of that as compassion, because when I think of compassion, I think of more of a feeling, not more of a way of treating.
But the way you feel towards people has such an impact.
Not when it comes to bigotry. I can feel it doesn't really matter about feeling. It just matter about about basically, I guess a hatred, I guess you could say.
Well, but then that is feeling. That's at the core of bigotry. That you've decided you feel hostility instead of compassion for whatever class you're bigoted against. Bigotry isn't driven by logic, it's driven by emotion.
I agree with that.
I don't.
No?
I'm sorry.
You think it's a science in terms of like how people treat
Of course.
They invent, sometimes they'll invent scientific excuses for the way they already feel.
Well, I don't really think it's they have to invent it. It's just the way you feel. I don't really think it's driven by emotion. It's how you feel. If
emotion is feeling, though, right? That's what emotions are. Your feelings.
I don't know why I'm hesitant to agree with that so much. I just, for some reason, I don't feel like it's the same thing.
I mean, there's definitely, they're not the same thing. But they're in the same.
Well, yeah, they're in the same field. But I just don't feel like it's driven by emotion. I feel like it's what you want to do. You just want to, treat this person a different way that you just want to treat that person. It doesn't mean that you can't have compassion for that person still. Just want to treat them differently.
Well, that sounds kind of confusing.
Well, isn't that what feelings are basically? Confusion.
They can be confusing.
So I mean, just like I said, I could be okay. Say like this: I hate Greg because he wear glasses, but then Greg come to me, hey, someone in my family died. Oh, Greg, man, I still hate your glasses, but I'm sorry. You see what I'm saying? I just don't. You see?
It makes me think about the definition of racism, which is prejudice plus power.
But that's institutional racism.
Institutional racism.
Right.
Okay. Prejudice plus power. So Black folks really can't be racist because we don't have power.
They can't be institutionally racist. They can be the other kinds of racist.
If we define racism as being prejudice plus power, whether it be an institution or a human being, then Black folks who don't have power cannot be racist.
I disagree.
They can be prejudiced, they can be biased, but they can't be racist.
I disagree with that because that's one thing I have an issue with people doing. It doesn't matter about any content you put something in. A word is a word and it's defined for that reason.
And some words have more than one meaning also.
Well, not in many cases. a word is a word, and it's being defined at that reason. It doesn't matter if you put it in a different content or not. It's still that word, and it still has that meaning. It's just like when people say, just like when gay people say, "I'm not gay," I'm saying gender loving. It, what the hell is the difference? You're put in a different way, but it's still the same meaning. It's just not when it's just the same as black people say, oh, I'm not black, I'm African American. What's the difference? You're just putting it in a different way. It doesn't change the narrative of what it is. So I have an issue when people do that. It's still the same thing. Racism is racism. Bigotry is bigotry. I mean, even though you put it in a different context, it's still the same thing. If I sit here and I say, "Oh, I hate white people," yeah, I'm racist. I have a contempt for them in this way.
You are racist if you have the power to do something about that.
Everyone has the power to do something about anything.
When black folks been able to convert their racism?
Of power. They don't. Just because you don't control the judiciary doesn't mean you don't have the power to pick up a brick and smash something.
That's what I'm saying. You have the power to do anything, and now what you're talking about is the circumstances behind it.
Okay, well, I think I'm actually still talking about the definition.
If you open up the dictionary, racism is defined as prejudice based on race or ethnicity. And what's happening here is that there are different forms racism can take. And institutional racism requires power to exercise, but that's not the only kind of racism. It's just a particular form of racism. So, and
like I said, circumstances may be different. A white person can do it, and they probably get like a fine or something. A black person can do it, 5 years to 10 to 5
because
to 10 years.
They're powerless.
Well,
in the society that is set up.
Well, it's not really powerless. It's how the circumstances that they get treated. The power is when the black person picked up the brick and threw it. That's the
frustration.
Power.
That is frustration.
That is power.
Because that's obviously going to land you in jail or get you killed. But that's not the same for white folks. They can throw.
Okay, so that means that's different circumstances.
Well, that means the system that we live in is racist.
Well, of course.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
We definitely agree on that.
Okay. And then the system is racist, which basically means that black folks have no power in that system. We have no power in a racist system, because otherwise we wouldn't be fighting and crying and enslaved. But we are powerless in this system. Consequently, in our personal relationships, not only in the system, but in our personal one-on-ones, we're also in the same setup. We're dealing with a white person who has power that we do not have.
So you're defining power as circumstances.
Well, I guess I am then, in a certain sense, because the circumstances are never going to be in my favor as a black woman.
I definitely agree with that.
You know, I'm never going to be the power at this point. Up until now, I've not been a power broker in the system, in my personal world. You know, I'm just not having. That's just not an option to me. It is an option to Greg just by circumstances of birth.
I don't know about that, because Greg pretty much like us.
But he can pass. You and I cannot.
Conditional whiteness.
Right.
But no,
I put Greg in a different category. I really do.
Indeed.
Seriously.
Indeed. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
but it's a choice he gets to make.
well, it's
Okay, now I get. Now you're right about that. You're right about that.
well, just like intersectional theory talks about the different forms of advantage and disadvantage, there are different forms of power and powerlessness. There's judicial and political power, there's economic power, there's physical power, and you can be without some forms of power, but that doesn't mean you're without any forms of power. And the successive revolutionary movements, Robert Mugabe overthrowing Rhodesia and creating Zimbabwe out of it, Toussaint Louverture overthrowing French colonialism in Saint Dominique and creating Haiti, Nat Turner temporarily gaining control of part of Southampton County.
Mhm.
Physical and military power is a form of power, and it's something that even people who completely lack political and economic power still have the option of exercising. There is always the recourse to trial by combat, even if you're shut out of all the formal power structures that exist.
Look at me looking all black.
Okay.
Well, so you're saying that because they had these limited,
Well,
you know,
all power is limited. It's a
Mhm.
question of where the limits lie.
mhm.
Well,
I mean, economic power is limited by people accepting that the system of currency you're building that power on is valid. Judicial power is limited by people accepting the law as something that deserves to be enforced. And history is filled with examples of every form of power running into this limit about how far it can be exercised and breaking, and the power breaking instead of the thing it's trying to smash getting broken.
so can we come to the conclusion that when it comes to whites, power is given. When it comes to black, power is obtained.
Well, in our society, when it comes to in America, when it comes to blacks have to obtain or take power, and whites are mostly inheriting power
Mhm.
that a previous generation of white people had to take the way
Mhm.
black people are having to take it now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And how apropos that at this very moment, Donald Trump is fighting tooth and nail to
Take power.
to take that power, and illegally, but forcefully, he is marching towards that very effort. And I'm amazed by how calm everyone seems to be about this.
But the only reason that people are calm about it is because I can guarantee you, 9 times out of 10, most don't even understand what's going on.
Well,
Um,
that's true. But
I think it's because a lot of people view Donald Trump as,
A moron?
well, yes, that too. I was going to say a Mussolini figure rather than a Hitler figure. Mussolini was the type who would bluster and bully and would get away with it as long as other people backed down, but would fold when directly confronted. And Hitler was the type who would also bluster and bully, but if directly confronted, he would double down and keep fighting. I think a lot of people, me included, see Donald Trump as someone who will wimp out when directly challenged. He'll make loud noises and then he'll slink off. I think that there are other people in the Trumpist movement who do have more spine and would do the Hitler thing and fight to the bitter end. I don't think Trump is one of them. I think the danger is that we're going to get a Trumpist in 4 or 8 years who is willing to burn everything to the ground rather than concede power. But I don't think that Donald Trump is the guy who's going to do that.
Well, I think he's certainly the toe in the door in terms of opening the door, and he's got lieutenants around him: Steve Bannon, Stephen Miller, Mike Pompeo, Bill Barr. So he's got enough lieutenants, just like Nat had his Nate, Hark, and Will, and so does Trump. He may not understand, that he is the puppeteer, behind this, but because he's not actually, he's just kind of in the center because he's president, but he's an idiot, and he's not focused on power in that traditional sense, but power in terms of just he wants to stay, relevant in the worldview. He just wants to be on stage.
Well, how much power do they actually have? Because trust me, if he could have used those powers that he had, he would have been did that. I mean, just think about it now. The person he has on this case now is Rudy Giuliani.
Mm-hmm.
Enough said.
Because Trump doesn't understand what he's in the middle of. He's just simply a 2-year-old with wanting to be center of attention. He's having a tantrum. He doesn't have a clue what he's unleashed in terms of what Bannon is after and what
Well, of course
Pompeo
not. Well, of course not. As that's already told and already directed with just what went down in China. China just passed an amazing trade deal that had nothing to do with the U.S. We won't even invite it to that party for some reason, because of his stupidity. And so now we suffer
Yeah.
because of his stupidity.
I
I mean, Trump has been a very useful tool for people like Putin. He
Exactly.
has isolated America
Exactly.
economically and politically.
Mm-hmm.
He's shown that the thing that we've been touting is our greatest strength for the past 200 and change years, that we are a nation of laws and not of men,
Mm-hmm.
isn't really nearly as true as we assumed it was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The Manchurian Candidate has definitely landed and been extremely effective.
Yeah, in fact, that's one of his nicknames, the Manchurian Kumquat.
It's not funny, but it makes you laugh.
It's gallows humor, but
I want dump Trump. He's a chump. That's my new chant.
Well, he's
the Mango Mussolini.
Well, he's going to get dumped. That's going to be inevitable. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's gonna do a lot of damage though between now and
Oh,
January
definitely.
20th.
Oh, definitely. Oh, most definitely. But yeah, he's definitely going to get dumped. As you said, I guess the only thing it runs down to is the two Senate races, which Georgia has completely stained their name. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because he got pressured by Republican GOP leaders. But when he did that private option, which I just found out, I mean, that private audit, which I just found out had nothing to do with political. This was private. This was to please the Republican Party. This had nothing to do with politics, because when Trump can still ask for another recount, and the lady explained it, and when CNN asked her, wait a minute, this was personal, this wasn't political, she said yes. She said that politically, he still can ask for another recount because that's political. What the first guy did, what the secretary did, was personal. So that was a personal favor.
Well, yeah, it is.
But Georgia did stay in their name with their personal favor, because they found over 6,000 uncounted ballots, which means that Georgia could get a reputation of, should we trust the Senate results, because of, if you found 6,000 ballots that didn't get counted, how can we know we can trust you on this?
See, I heard it was 3,000 ballots.
No, close to 6,000.
How do you know you're right and I'm wrong?
Because they said it.
They said to me 3,000. So I mean,
That was the first.
okay.
Then they found another 3,000. So that was another, where the total is actually 5 something, but you round it up to 6 something.
Okay.
Because the first one was only 2,000 plus, and the last one was 3,000 plus.
Okay.
So I'm just rounding it up to 6 something.
Okay.
Like I said, it kind of put a stain on them, and it kind of gives fuel to what Donald Trump was saying too. So I think Georgia kind of screwed themselves with that, because of, even though Georgia still went to Biden, because it wasn't enough to overturn.
All right.
They did kind of screw themselves, because now a lot of people gonna be looking at them like, well, can we really trust this?
Well, nobody mentions the fact that Stacey Abrams, who had the gubernatorial race stolen from her in Georgia, has been spending the last 2 years making sure that people get registered to vote. They never mention that when they talk about Georgia flipping from red to blue.
I see it mentioned.
I
see it mentioned.
Yeah,
Of course,
she was on CNN
I don't get my news from the
yesterday.
networks. I go with other sources.
Okay. Well, it's not in, I guess, the.
You go with what?
I mean,
Any BBC online articles, that sort of thing.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't go to the tinfoil hat websites, but international news services that aren't being, and also NPR. I still trust NPR.
Yeah, although they're beginning to show their bias in lots of ways, but I think that's because they feel like they kind of slept on Trump before. They were too easy on him. They were trying to be very fair.
I trust CNN. I really do, because CNN was the only one that did not give Biden the 290 at first. Every other news outlet, media circuit gave him 290. CNN still have it at 279 until they made sure that they can certify and call. I think to me, that makes them a fair game. You know, if you really want to sit here and judge media outlets, everyone else called, you know, 296 before he got to 306. CNN was the only one that had him at 279 because they was like, we can't call it yet. We're not going to say this until we are sure that this margin is big enough for him not to overturn it, so we can call it. So that's the reason why I trust CNN. To me, they have always been fair to both parties, even though they do favor the Democratic Party more, of course, but they have always given a fair platform to both parties. That's why I trust them.
There's a difference between editorial bias and inaccurate reporting. You can clearly favor one side, but still tell the truth.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I like CNN. Even though they do favor the Democratic side more, they still tell the truth, and they make sure that, you know, all their ducks is aligned in a row. Now, yes, they have made some mistakes in the past. I will give you that. But with CNN, they make sure they go out on a limb to make sure they correct it and let the audience know.
You know who I trust? I trust C-SPAN. I love C-SPAN because they just kind of put the camera there and they let you decide what you've seen and what you think about it, as opposed to telling you. And I think that C-SPAN should be in every classroom.
Well, that's what I like too. I love when what you call it. Like I said, oh God, I want to get that woman in the debate so bad, Candace Owens. God, I want her.
Oh,
so
you bring her up all the time.
Because I want to debate her so. Oh my God, I can taste it.
Yeah, well,
so bad I do.
I don't think you should waste your time. You know, you've got better things to do with your time.
I just want to put her on her face one time, especially with the stupidity that comes out of her mouth.
Flipped to the right because of the way she was treated by gamers who are a fairly right-wing constituency.
Right.
I mean,
Well, gentlemen, let's get back to this. We're going to get through.
Okay.
Okay. Where did we end up?
I ordered them to mount and march instantly. This was about 9 or 10 o'clock. Oh, okay, that was you. My fault. No,
that's your line.
Okay. I ordered them. No, that's you. I got that marked.
What page are you on?
25.
Okay.
What I have marked is that I do the Captain Harris to valuables line. Then you go.
Okay, yes. Okay, you're right. Okay.
And
I ordered them to mount and march instantly. This was about 9 or 10 o'clock Monday morning. I proceeded to Mr. Levi Waller's. Two of them 2 miles distance. I took my station in the rear, and as it was my object to carry terror and devastation whenever we went, I placed 15 or 20 of the best armed and most to be relied on in front, who generally approached the houses as fast as their horses could run. This was for 2 purposes: to prevent their escape and to strike terror in the inhabitants.
on this account, he never got to the houses after leaving Mrs. Whitehead's until the murders were committed, except in one case.
I sometimes got in sight in time to see the work of death completed, viewed the mangled bodies as they lay in silent satisfaction, and immediately started in quest of other victims.
Having murdered Mrs. Waller and 10 children, they started for Mr. William Williams. Having killed him and 2 little boys that were there, while engaged in this, Mrs. Williams fled and got some distance from the house, but she was pursued, overtaken, and compelled to get up behind one of the company, who brought her back, and, after showing her the mangled body of her lifeless husband, she was told to get down and lay by his side, where she was shot dead.
I then started for Mr. Jacob Williams, where the family were murdered. Here we found a young man named Jury, who had come on business with Mr. Williams. He was pursued, overtaken, and shot. Mr. Vaughn was the next place we visited. Mrs. Vaughn was the next place we visited. And after murdering the family here, I determined on starting for Jerusalem. Our numbers amounted now to 50 or 60, all mounted and armed with guns, axes, swords, and clubs. On reaching Mr. James W. Parker's gate, immediately on the road leading to Jerusalem, and about 3 miles distance, it was proposed to me to call there, but I objected. as I knew he was going to Jerusalem, and my object was to reach there as soon as possible. But some of the men having relations at Mr. Parker's, it was agreed that they might call and get his people. I remained at the gate on the road with 7 or 8, the others going across the field to the house, about half a mile off. After waiting for some time for them, I became impatient and started to the house for them.
On their return, they were met by a party of white men who had pursued their bloodstained track and who had fired on those at the gate and dispersed them, which Nat knew nothing of, not having been there at the time, not having been at that time rejoined by any of them.
Immediately, on discovering the whites, I ordered my men to halt and form. As they appeared to be alarmed, the white men, 18 in number, approached us in about 100 yards, when one of them fired.
This was against the positive orders of Captain Alexander P. Peet, who commanded and who had directed the men to reserve their fire until within 30 paces.
And I now discover about half of them retreating. I then ordered my men to fire and rush on them. The few remaining stood their ground until we approached within 50 yards, when they fired and retreated. We pursued and overtook some of them who we thought were left dead.
They were not killed.
After pursuing them about 200 yards and rising a little hill, I discovered they were met by another party, and had halted and were reloading their guns.
This was a small party from Jerusalem who knew the Negroes were in the field and had just tied their horses to await their return to the road, knowing that Mr. Parker and family were in Jerusalem, but knew nothing of the party that had gone with Captain Peet. On hearing the firing, they immediately rushed to the spot and arrived just in time to arrest the progress of these barbarous villains and save the lives of their friends and fellow citizens.
Thinking that those who retreated first and the party was fired on us at 50 or 60 yards distant had already fallen back to meet others with ammunition, as I saw them reloading their guns and more coming up than I saw at first, and several of my bravest men being wounded, the others became panicked and panic struck and squandered over the field. The white man pursued and fired on us several times. Hark had his horse shot under him, and I caught another from him as it was for him as it was running by me. 5 or 6 of my men were wounded, but none left on the field. Finding myself defeated here, I instantly determined to go through a private way and cross the Nottoway River at Cypress Bridge, 3 miles below Jerusalem, and attack that place in the rear, as I expected they would look for me on the other road, and I had a great desire to get there to procure arms and ammunition. After going a short distance in this private way, accompanied by 20 men, I overtook 2 or 3 who told me the others were dispersed in every direction. After trying in vain to collect a sufficient force to proceed to Jerusalem, I determined to return, as I was sure they would make back to their old neighborhood, where they would rejoin me, make new recruits, and come down again. On my way back, I called at Mrs. Thomas, Mrs. Spencer, and several other places. The white families having fled, we found no more victims to gratify our thirst for blood. We stopped at Major Ridley's quarters for the night. Major Ridley's quarters for the night. And being joined by 4 of his men, with the recruits made since my defeat, we mustered now about 40 strong. After placing out the guards, I laid down to sleep, but was quickly roused.
Yeah, there's a difference.
Roused by a great racket. Thank God I made the mistake when reading. Roused by a great racket starting up. I found some mounted and others in great confusion. One of the guards, having given the alarm that we were about to attack,
be attacked.
about to be attacked. I ordered some to ride round and scout, and on their return, the others, being more alarmed, not knowing who they were, fled in different ways, so that I was reduced to about 20 again. With this, I determined to attempt to recruit and proceed on to rally in the neighborhood. I had left Dr. Blunt's,
It was,
my fault,
yeah.
and proceed on a rally in the neighborhood. I had left. Dr. Blunt's was the nearest house, which we reached just before day. On riding up the yard, Hart fired a gun. Why do I keep just going straight over those periods? Like, serious, Jamel.
Well,
Like,
that's what rehearsal is all about.
you don't know what the heck a period is? No, I'm mad at myself for doing it because I keep doing it. On riding up the yard, Hart fired a gun. We expected Dr. Blunt and his family were at Major Ridley's. As I knew there was a company of men there. The gun was fired to ascertain if any of the family were at home. We immediately fired upon and retreated, leaving several of my men. I do not know what became of them, as I never saw them afterwards. Pursuing our course back and coming in sight of Captain Harris, where we had been the day before, we discovered a party of white men at the house, on which all deserted me but two, Jacob and Nat. We concealed ourselves in the woods until near night, when I sent them to search of Henry, Sam, and Nelson and Hart, and directed them to rally all they could at the place we had our dinner and the Sunday before, where they would find me. And I accordingly returned there as soon as it was dark, and remained until Wednesday evening, when discovering white men riding around the place as though they were looking for someone, and none of my men joining me, I concluded Jacob and Nat had been taken and compelled to betray me. On this, I gave up all hope for the present. And on Thursday night, after having supplied myself with provisions from Mr. Travis, I scratched a hole under a pile of fence rails in a field where I concealed myself for 6 weeks, never leaving my hiding place but for a few minutes in the dead of night to get water, which was very near. Thinking by this time I could venture out, I begun to go about in the night and drop the houses in the neighborhood. Pursuing this course for about a fortnight and gathering little or no intelligence, afraid of speaking to any human being, and returning every morning to my cave before the dawn of day, I knew not how long I might have led this life if an accident had not betrayed me. A dog in the neighborhood passing by my hiding place one night while I was out was attracted by some meat I had in my cave and crawled in and stole it, and was coming out just as I returned. A few nights later, two Negroes having started to go hunting with the same dog and passed that way. The dog came again to the place, and having just gone out to walk about, discovered me and barked. On which thinking myself discovered, I spoke to them to beg concealment. On making myself known, they fled from me. Knowing then they would betray me, I immediately left my hiding place and was pursued almost instantaneously. Incessantly. I like instantaneously better, but okay. Incessantly. Until I'd taken a fortnight afterwards by Mr. Benjamin Phillips in a little hole I had dug out with my sword for the purpose of concealment under the top of a fallen tree. Why did he felt the need that he needed to repeat that twice?
What did he repeat twice?
The fact that he dug a hole in the fence under the tree. He said it once, so I think people knew exactly where his concealment was. So why did he felt the need to repeat it and say it again?
I think he's telling the story. And, you know, sometimes we repeat ourselves when we tell stories and so forth like that. Yeah.
Okay. Concealment under the top of a fallen tree.
On Mr. Phipps discovering the place of his concealment, He cocked his gun and aimed at Nat.
Don't shoot.
Your sword, boy.
I delivered it to him, and he brought me to prison. During this time, I was pursued. I had many hairbreadth escapes, which your time would not permit you to relate. Okay, I can say that in like a little bit more like a comedic way.
You think you're going to be laughing at this point?
Well, not really laughing, but just like in your time, which not you to relate.
Okay.
Kind of a gallows humor.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're far too busy for this. All I've got on my schedule is a hanging.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, I can do that with that. I am here loaded with chains and willing to suffer the fate that awaits me.
I here proceeded to make some inquiries of him after assuring him of the certain death that awaited him, and that concealment would only bring destruction on the innocent as well as the guilty of his own color, if he knew of any extensive or concerted plan. His answer was,
I do not.
Why not?
When I questioned him as to the insurrection in North Carolina happening about the same time, he denied any knowledge of it. And when I looked him in the face as though I would search his innermost thoughts, he replied,
I see, sir, you doubt my words, but can you not think the same ideas? And strange appearance about this time in the heavens might prompt others, as well as myself, to this undertaking.
I now had much conversation with and asked him many questions, having forborne to do so previously, except in the cases noted in parenthesis. But during his statement I had, unnoticed by him, taken notes as to some particular circumstances, and having the advantage of his statement before me in writing, on the evening of the third day that I had been with him, I began a cross-examination, and found his statement corroborated by every circumstance coming within my own knowledge, or the confessions of others whom had been either killed or executed, and whom he had not seen or had any knowledge since the 22nd of August last. He expressed himself fully satisfied as to the impracticability of his attempt. It has been said he was ignorant and cowardly, and that his object was to murder and rob for the purpose of obtaining money to make his escape. It is notorious that he was never known to have $1 in his life, to swear an oath, or drink a drop of spirits. As to his ignorance, he certainly never had the advantages of education, but he can read and write. It was taught him by his parents. And for natural intelligence and quickness of apprehension is surpassed by few men I have ever seen. As to his being a coward, his reason is given for not resisting Mr. Phipps shows the decision of his character. When he saw Mr. Phipps present his gun,
All right.
Read it.
I thought you put that on silence.
All right. When he saw Mr. Phipps present his gun, he said he knew it was impossible for him to escape, as the woods were full of men. He therefore thought it was better to surrender and trust to fortune for his escape. He is a complete fanatic, or plays his part most admirably. On other subjects, he possesses an uncommon share of intelligence, with a mind capable of attaining anything, but warped and perverted by the influence of early impressions.
Really? That's what we're doing today? Hold on, that's my mom. Papa, something important. She go, hello?
You still at work?
Yes,
I thought you get off at 1.
I did, but I had to come to the church for a reading.
What the subject you possessing?
On other subjects, he possesses an uncommon share of intelligence, with a mind capable of attaining anything, but warped and perverted by the influence of early impressions. He is below the ordinary stature, though strong and active, having the true Negro face, every feature of which is strongly marked. I shall not attempt to describe the effect of his narrative, as told and commented on by himself, in the condemned hole of the prison. The calm, deliberate composure with which he spoke of his late deeds and intentions, the expression of his fiend-like face when excited by enthusiasm, still bearing the stains of the blood of the helpless innocents about him, clothed with rags and covered with chains, yet daring to raise his manacled hands to heaven, with the spirit soaring above the attributes of man. I looked on him, and my blood curdled in my veins. I will not shock the feelings of humanity, nor wound afresh the bosoms of the disconsolate sufferers in this unparalleled and inhuman massacre by detailing the deeds of their fiend-like barbarity. There were 2 or 3 who were in the power of these wretches, had they known it, and who escaped in the most providential manner. There were 2 whom they thought they had left dead on the field at Mr. Parker's, but who were only stunned by the blows of their guns, as they did not take time to reload when they charged on them. The escape of a little girl who went to school at Mr. Waller's, and where the children were collecting for the purpose, excited general sympathy. As their teacher had not arrived, they were at play in the yard, and seeing the negroes approach, she ran up on a dirt chimney, such as are common in log houses, and remained there unnoticed during the massacre of the 11 that were killed at this place. She remained on her hiding place till just before the arrival of a party who were in pursuit of the murderers, when she came down and fled to a swamp, where, a mere child as she was, with the horrors of the late scene before her, she lay concealed until the next day, when, seeing a party go up to the house, she came up, and on being asked how she escaped, replied, with the utmost simplicity, "The Lord helped her." She was taken up behind a gentleman of the party, and returned to the arms of her weeping mother. Miss White had concealed herself between the bed and mat that supported it, while they murdered her sister in the same room, without discovering her. She was afterwards carried off and concealed for protection by a slave of the family, who gave evidence against several of them on their trial. Mrs. Nathaniel Francis, while concealed in a closet, heard their blows and the shrieks of the victims of these ruthless savages. They then entered the closet where she was concealed and went out without discovering her. While in this hiding place, she heard 2 of her women in a quarrel about the division of her clothes. Mr. John T. Barron, discovering them approaching his house, told his wife to make her escape, and, scorning to fly, fell fighting on his own threshold. After firing his rifle, he discharged his gun at them, and then broke it over the villain who first approached him, but he was overpowered and slain. His bravery, however, saved from the hands of those monsters his lovely and amiable wife, who will long lament a husband so deserving of her love. As directed by him, she attempted to escape through the garden, when she was caught and held by one of her servant girls. But another coming to her rescue, she fled to the woods and concealed herself. Few indeed were those who escaped their work of death, but fortunate for
Could
society
be the front door.
that the hand of retributive justice has overtaken them, and not one that was known to be concerned has escaped.
Yeah, it's all about the mom thing. After the shooting down here, she afraid somebody gonna shoot me and I'm gonna be laying dead in the middle of the street without her knowing.
I can understand that concern.
That's what she feared. Because she said that before I left. How about you, Dad? I'm like, yes, that was a comforting thought. Thank you. You know, I didn't mean it like that. I said, She's so special. I might gotta cancel my plans tomorrow, which I really don't want to do. But if she doesn't have anybody else to walk with you, she might force me to do it.
We'll see what happens.
You wait a minute. He counts because he had a heart attack. Is that what you said?
I said, we'll see what happens.
No, the guy canceling, the girl canceling. You said because she had a heart attack,
No, ear infection.
or ear? Oh, I think you said a heart. I'm about to say what? Okay, she had ear infection.
Yeah.
Okay.
Significant difference there.
Okay. yeah. That was funny. That was funny. I like that. Now that's somebody at the door now.
Is there?
No, it's just coming up the hall.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah, we're trying. Did you catch somebody coming out?
No,
Oh,
nobody was in that way. Did somebody come in that way?
no, with the phone rang, but,
I tried to get it and I didn't make it to it in time. I was in the church.
oh, you were here, okay.
Yeah.
So do you know if that was
I don't think
UPS?
it was the delivery people.
Okay.
I think it was a regular phone call.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay, so we at the Commonwealth versus Nat Turner. Do you want to read through that?
Oh, okay. We got to decide who's gonna. I think, yeah, because we got.
Me, okay, so me and
Yeah.
Greg was discussing that what if we have a narrator offset instead of onset?
Yeah, we've been talking about
Yeah.
pre-recording something.
Well, not pre-recording,
Just have like a third,
offset, but not onset. And maybe even, when he's speaking, the lights can be lowered on us.
mhm.
And then once it's our turn, they can be back up, and then we commence without talking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Kind of like how they do like the statues on the stage thing, kind of thing. So we sit there like this, probably looking at each other, and then when the lights come back on, then we start back talking again.
Mm-hmm.
But the narrator will be all offset, not onset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely would want it to be that way. This information here that would be, so we get the end of, but fortunate for society, the hand of retributive. Now I'm having retributive justice has overtaken them. Not one that was known to be concerned has escaped. So that's the end of Thomas Gray. Right.
Right, and then the Commonwealth versus Nat Turner.
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay, the Commonwealth versus Nat Turner. Won't that signal a new scene anyway?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Let's just
So if that's a new scene,
mm-hmm.
do you want me to like leave stage and come back on?
No.
Okay.
No.
So how do we make that transition just to make sure that people know that this is a new scene?
Yeah, I'm thinking actually that I want to see that, because this is the choice that they made in terms of publishing the book. Putting this Commonwealth versus Nat Turner at the end of the narrative. We can move it up to the top of the narrative if we want to. And
So do this first?
that's a possibility.
Okay, you know what? That might actually work, because if we do this first, and then him telling his story behind it,
Mm-hmm.
They can get a sense of why he was convicted in the first place. Get a better sense of why he was convicted in the first place instead of making this at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that could work.
Mm-hmm.
That could work.
So, because we've already.
What do you think, James? I mean, Greg. A friend of mine must be talking about me. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It's better than Nemo. I called him Nemo the other day. I was like, thank you, Nemo.
You're welcome, Dory.
Okay, because in fact, yeah, I'm thinking the pre-show is going to be to the public, and that can have music in it and all sorts of things to make it pre-show. People, it'll just kind of set the stage.
Okay.
Pre-show with that, then we get into the actual narrative. Oh, no, the pre-show, and then we do the Commonwealth versus Nat Turner, and then we get into the show.
Okay.
But for right now, let's just we'll focus on the narrative, and that'll come as we kind of get that comfortable with that and everything.
Okay.
We're looking at doing the performance the first day of Kwanzaa, which would be Saturday, December 26th.
We might got to change that, because I just found out that Greg, we are doing Kwanzaa.
So what is that
I
Kwanzaa
don't
consist
know.
of? You don't know?
I do not know until I speak to Karen about it. I just found this out today from Steven, because she already fitted him for his Kwanzaa outfit.
Mm-hmm.
She haven't even fitted me yet for it, and she still got to fit you, Greg. Because like I said, I didn't even know it,
Mm-hmm.
because she conveyed this to him last night. She haven't talked to me yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what Kwanzaa, if she planned on doing it just that one day, or she planned on doing it
every day.
The whole Kwanzaa season. So I'm not sure. Like I said, this will have to be. I have to talk to her first.
Well, actually, you just said I need to talk to her too. So,
Right.
Do you have a number for her?
I sure do.
Can I get that?
You sure can.
Okay.
Okay. 757-705-8130.
Great. Just what's her last name? Do you know? You don't
Because
know.
she got remarried. I forgot what. Do you know Jeff's last name? Where is he? I do not
Well, I
know.
mean, it's not that important. No.
Yeah. I'm sorry. She got remarried because it was Cameron Barber, but she got remarried
Oh, okay.
to the same name as her as her former husband.
Really?
Yeah, her former husband named Jeff. His name is Jeff.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the same last name. I was like, well, why don't
Oh
you know
no! I don't think she would even go that far. God, if his name was Jeff Barber, she probably would have muted that quickly.
Oh, okay. It was like that, huh?
Yo, he was an asshole. But
Yeah, they tend to like make themselves visible.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes, ma'am. No. I haven't had a chance. I'm actually in a rehearsal right now. Indeed. Thank you. You too. Bye bye. All right. So, yeah, I'm thinking that I want to keep it as simple as possible. you know?
I completely agree.
Mhm.
I completely agree. And like I said, do you want to do something with her for Kwanzaa or?
No, I was wanting to, at this point, just kind of, get our dates set in terms of when we'd be doing performance and stuff like that. But
Okay.
yeah, I wanted to do it during Kwanzaa week. I just
Right.
think it's going to be a good time to.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. Like I said, I just found this out today. She didn't
Mhm.
talk to me about it. She talked to Steven.
Mhm.
But and she said that she fitted him. So she said now she has to fit me because you remember I told you I know a Kwanzaa song.
Right.
It's a holiday, come and celebrate and rejoice. It's Kwanzaa. And
okay.
basically that's what I'm singing and doing. But
Mhm.
I'm not sure if we're gonna do that for a day or she got planned something for the whole
Right. And if it's what time of the day also.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
because let me talk to her so we can coordinate and not bump into each other in terms of all of this. I think we can make it all fit though,
right.
So, but I'm glad we're talking about it now.
Well, yeah, Greg didn't know either. I just told him.
Kwanzaa?
For real, Stephen just told me today. Because when he told me, I said, excuse me, whoa, parking brakes. Who's doing what on what to where? He said, you're singing for Kwanzaa. I say, no, I'm not. He talking about, yes, you are.
I know she wants me to do something Hanukkah related, but
Oh, are you gonna sing the Hanukkah song?
which Hanukkah song?
Hanukkah come like doing Nora. I love that freaking song.
I don't know that one. I'll have to learn it.
I don't like you no more. That's an awesome song.
Well, it'll get sung at some point, I'm sure.
I love that song.
Dreidel, I made it out of clay.
But
Hold on, what's the rest of it? Dreidel, ba 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 da da da. I know it. I forgot the words.
Well, then maybe you don't know it.
Oh, hush up. Why
Maybe
do
you
you
just
two
think you
attack
know
me
it.
on a regular basis?
Because it's fun.
Easy pickings, right?
Oh, gee, thanks.
I'm not driving today, so.
Oh, if I catch the 4:15, I should be okay.
Okay, Good. I wanted to give you some homework. Well, first of all, let me ask you this, both of you. Would it make a difference in terms of like getting this in a more kind of traditional script form? In terms of like,
Actually, that would make a huge difference if you want to know the truth. How about you, Greg?
Oh yeah, it always helps if
Right.
if there's the little gap between your line and the
Yeah.
other guys instead of
Right,
having to
right.
spot it in the middle of
Right.
a line.
Right. Well, I want to promise you that I'm going to do it, but I'm not promising it yet. So.
Okay,
I
so
wanna do it.
let me ask you a question. By Kwanzaa, do you want us to revert this to memory
I
or?
do.
Ugh. Woo.
That's why I'm looking at putting it in script form because I know
Oh
that this
Lord,
way it's
Jesus,
much.
that's a lot.
I mean, if we got basically a month,
Right.
But right there, that tells me I will put it in script form because I know that's going to make it easier in terms of memorization. And one of the homework that I wanted to give you, particularly Nat, is to have a chronology as you go through the script, what's happening at this point, whatever it is, I do want you to create a chronology because that's going to help the memorization also.
Okay.
All right. So, yeah, that's what I would like to see happen. And that way we can have the freedom to just kind of do it the way that it needs to be done in terms of emphasis and all that kind of stuff, which you've been encumbered with a script in your hand.
Right. You think my skin moisturized?
Man,
What? I take that very seriously.
It's a serious deal.
Thank you.
Your
Exactly.
Skin is 95% of who you are.
Especially for Black people. You know how we lotion up all the time.
Break the ash.
Exactly.
So.
I take that very personally.
So that's why black don't crack.
Pretty much. All day. We do it. Every single time. That lotion on deck.
Right.
My friend told me that the other day. She said, Black people lose a lot of lotion. I said,
Taken out of context.
shut up. Not in that way.
Well, folks.
Moisturizing way.
Moisturizing is important. I agree. Not necessarily for every moment of the day, but
Some people do it constantly. I'm
indeed
serious.
they do,
My friend, that's all you see. And she got a pound in her purse every single. I said, "What are you doing?" She's like, moisturizing, Jermaine. I'm like, did it get dry up from that block to here? Like,
when I think about moisturizing, I think about what was it the hairstyle in the 70s where you had to put the moisturizer in your hair? What was that
Is that
called?
Jerry curl?
Jerry curl, yeah.
But that was already a moisturizing within itself. Oh my
The
God.
Jerry curl.
The Rick James haircut.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. I remember my friend messed up a friend of mine's leather seat, but she was ticked.
That's why you had
I'm
plastic
serious.
covers on
And
your
she
furniture.
and he used to
Right.
every single time. And it got on our nerves because you know when the wind blew, it sprays all in your face. And he was. I mean, why are you activating that much for?
Have you seen
I
the
got to stay
Dave
cute for the
Chappelle
ladies.
skit?
I got to stay cute.
Have you seen the Dave Chappelle skit on that one?
Is that about the whole Rick James one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Most definitely. He was just on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
With some serious stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my friend used to do it all the freaking time. They used to kill us.
Yeah, they brought him in for the episode right after the 2016 election, and then they did full circle by bringing him in right after 2000.
Oh, he was after 2016?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. There was this. I remember they did the sketch where Dave Chappelle and one of the other Black cast members was probably Jay Farrow at the time, and several white Democrats were in a room watching the election returns, and the white Democrats were, going into conniption fit, as the returns came in, very hopeful at first.
Right.
Oh, of course, we're going to lose Kentucky. Kentucky's full of racists. And Chappelle and the other guy, oh, yeah, Kentucky's full of racists. And basically, they're bitterly amused at the whole thing. And oh, yeah, you're experiencing part now of what we've been experiencing this whole time. You're shocked that America sucks. We've known this for 400 years. That's not the dialogue, but it's the sense of things.
Right.
Oh, Dave Chappelle not afraid to say it either. Let me
Yeah.
tell you, that's you know him and Lord, I forgot that freaking dude's name. When it comes to race, they would talk about that crap all freaking day, especially Dave. Dave is not one to shy away from a race conversation.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Because oh God,
Chris Rock does some very good material on that too.
does he?
I think
Chris
so.
Rock? Really? I never heard about Chris Rock actually talking about race that much. I know he had that comedy tour called My Heads to State, but that was about it. I never really heard him talk about it.
He's talking about race, yeah, not as sharply as Chappelle has. But actually, I just saw just yesterday Richard Pryor, the first black president.
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh my gosh, it was so perceptive and ahead of his time in terms of the stuff that was, talked
I haven't
about.
even seen it yet.
Yeah, it's hilarious actually, and he doesn't let anything go. Everything gets hit,
Oh, trust me, it's
Yeah,
Richard.
it's amazing stuff. I mean,
It's Richard.
a lot of people don't realize that he was one of the co-writers for Blazing Saddles.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Probably one of his best scripts because he had some stuff that was just not up to snuff at all. But Blazing Saddles is like classic.
Mine would have to be my what was it? Dinah Ross, not Mahogany, but
Lady Sings the Blues.
Lady Saints. Oh my God, he was just the.
Did he write? Was he one of the writers on that? Do you know?
I don't know was he
I don't
one of the
think so,
writers on
yeah.
it, but I know he played a great stupid role. And boy, that crap was funny. Oh my God, I was just weak.
Man, that seems like it was a lifetime ago in
Mm.
terms of all of that.
do you remember the job interview sketch he did with Chevy Chase?
Oh, classic. Dead hunky. Classic, I've actually used that when I've talked and stuff like that because it was just like, it doesn't get any better.
The most raunchy comedy sketch I have ever seen in my whole entire life would definitely probably be an old Red Fox.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Oh my God. That you talking about cussing like a sailor? He puts them to shame. I'm
Yeah.
serious. Jesus Christ. Every other word, beep it, F, 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 B, F, 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 A, F, F, B, F. It was every other word. I'm like,
when these guys go and do network sitcoms, it really doesn't give you
Not
no
a proper feel.
No, at all. At all. I'm serious.
I mean,
That's all you heard from him the whole time. And that's another one that was not scared to talk about race in any way. He did not like you whatsoever
Yeah.
unless you were black. He did not care.
Yeah, Red Fox was of another era.
Yes, he was. I'm serious. Mhm. They said, first of all, first the rumor was that Sherman Hemsley, of course, everybody said he was gay. That's what his family said.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows if it's really true or not.
Well, if his family said it, why would they lie about it?
Well, a lot of people said that the reason they probably came out and said that was to try to give some kind of more recognition or notoriety.
Mm.
I don't know. A lot of people are denying it. Some people saying it's true. Some people are denying it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what his family came out and said. But they said that he also did a comedy show, but I could not find that.
I thought he played an instrument, like I want to say the trumpet or the saxophone or something like that. That people didn't really know that he was a musician.
No, I didn't know he was a musician. She just said that.
But I think in terms of the family, they just once he had passed, it was
Mhm.
like, well, there's no need to hide this information anymore.
Mm.
But
But one of my favorites is Archie Bunker. I love Archie Bunker.
Carol O'Connor,
I do. I'm sorry. I love that freaking show so much.
In the Heat of the Night.
Well, I
Oh,
love
no.
The Heat of the Night too,
Did
but I
you
love.
really? I thought The Heat of the Night was just so ridiculous. I mean, it was a story about a racist cop, white cop, who had to begrudgingly respect.
He
this
wasn't really
detective.
racist.
In the movie,
the original film with Rod Steiger and
Cindy Poitier. Yes.
No.
Oh well,
Oh, yeah. They, yeah, I mean,
But
it
in the show, he really wasn't.
not in the show exactly. It was like for me the first time I'd ever seen like an adaptation that was completely not based on the book that it was, or the
Then I
movie
wonder why they changed it.
like,
for TV.
I mean, they made a pretty ordinary cop show and used the title of a really well-regarded film to
Which is
get
based
it
on a
more-
book. Yeah.
to get to give it an initial ratings boost.
Yeah, I mean, but he was never, I mean, yeah, he was kind of like, kind of grumpy and all that kind of stuff, but he was never really truly racist in this television show. Because
Right.
That's just not, you don't put that on television like in the 70s or 80s or whatever it was, and
Well, he made a lot of race related jokes in the on the TV show though. Not the Heat of the Night. I'm talking about
Archie Bunker.
Now,
yeah.
Yeah.
if what they've done with the TV series was
Which
present
one?
him as in the Heat of the Night,
Oh.
present his character as a reformed racist and do some flashbacks about things that he regrets that he's atoning for now.
Right.
I think that would have given it a lot more gravitas.
Well, they even made him fall in love with a black woman on that show,
Exactly.
right?
The television show was total fiction based on the original material. It was like all it had in common was the title of it.
They're both set in the South.
Okay, I'll give you that too.
But yeah, okay, I see. I didn't know that. Y'all just told me
Oh
something
my
new. I didn't know
goodness! Yeah,
that.
I
Okay.
watched the show and I was just going
Yeah,
like,
Rod Steiger is really, really good at playing heavies. He got cast as Nazis in World War II movies a lot too. And so yeah,
All in the Family. That's what it was called.
Right,
Not
All in the
Family.
Family, right.
yeah, All in the Family was a very good, groundbreaking show.
I love that freaking show. I'm sorry. Archer kills me, even though he's playing a jackass, and then I love the show. Seriously, I really
Well,
do.
that's what made it work.
Yeah.
that he was, and that's what the television is. That's what they did.
But
the
I gotta
television
give
show
him
that
credit.
way.
Sherman Hemsley gave him a run for his money on that show. I'm serious, because Sherman was just as, as Archie was. So he gave him a run for his money.
And that was the original character concept behind his character. They wanted a black Archie Bunker as a neighbor, just to ram that point home.
Right.
I'm serious.
Right.
Where they nailed it. I'm serious.
Yeah, he kept busy too.
Yeah, I'm with it. The only issue is why didn't they keep the original son? They brought him in after, but when they started
But they do that
the
all
Jefferson,
the time, though.
they changed the son. I'm like, why
They did
y'all
that on
change
Roseanne. I mean, remember one year it was like they had the daughter and it was another daughter and they never mentioned
the
it.
way they treated?
Actually,
Did they mention
when they brought the original daughter back. The first time she walked on set, everybody looked at her and said, "Where the hell have you been?"
Right.
Okay.
And then in the closing credits for just that episode, they played the theme song to that show about the identical cousins. And they had the
Patty
replacement
Duke
actor-
show?
Yeah. They played the Patty Duke's theme song, and they had the original actress and the fill-in actress for 1 year basically dance on the stage together and mirror each other's actions. So yeah,
How they treated her was so freaking wrong. Come on now, because she thought the lady was
Roseanne?
white. Yeah, because she thought the lady was white, and I think she called her a monkey or something because she thought the lady was white, or because she thought the lady was white. But I'm like, okay, y'all can't forgive Roseanne, but y'all can forgive Gucci and H&M.
Well, I'm so confused. Who talked about the lady was white?
Okay, Roseanne talked about some kind of congresswoman. I think she was a congresswoman or something, and she said something about it because the lady was acting really ignorant, and I think she called her a monkey or something like that. But the lady was really high yellow and mixed,
Okay.
so she thought the lady was white.
Okay.
When she made the comment and she found out the lady was black, she explained herself, and I did not know she was black. I thought she was white, and it ruined her career for it.
Oh, is that what happened to her?
Right. Because when they had to show the Connors, they didn't bring her back because of that reason. That's why.
Something else. I thought it was something else.
No.
That happened.
that wasn't the only thing that was going on. She was making a series of bigoted comments.
Really? But doing that, but the one towards the lady, that wasn't bigoted. She thought the lady was white, and the lady did look white. I gotta give her that. I thought the lady was white too until they say she was black.
I thought it wasn't more than just one thing that
Oh,
happened.
well, I didn't know
Yeah.
about the series of
Yeah,
bigoted comments
yeah.
now. I didn't know
Yeah.
nothing about that.
So
I thought it was just that one incident.
No, it was
no,
more.
it was just the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
pretty
okay.
much what was going on there. And
I'm a
Yeah,
little
we
surprised to
haven't
hear
heard
that. Roseanne was my girl. Like, seriously.
And
Well, she was a character, so yeah.
and
Really? That's what you know?
she had pushed some positive changes in the 1990s, but a reactionary is a reformer plus 20 years. So
I just think they should have just seriously I just when they put back the show to Connor, that's the reason I didn't look at it. It's just not the same without her. I'm sorry, she was the star of the freaking show. So when you got the Connors and they came back, I couldn't look at it. It's just without her, I'm sorry. It just
but it's doing okay, isn't it? It's standing. I mean, top whatever.
I don't
they
know.
do.
Is the Connor still?
I
doing
don't
okay?
really
I'm not
watch it.
sure. I don't know.
I don't really follow
Right.
ratings anymore.
Right. I don't even know if the show is even doing okay still.
Mhm.
I know when it first got its first run, it was doing great.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure now because I only know of one season. I don't know did they renew it for the second season or not.
Well, the last network show I made an effort to watch, I should say the last scripted show rather than sketch comedy was The Orville. And
The who?
The Orville, it's a science fiction comedy show. It's kind of
I was talking about the Oval on BET.
it's sort of half a parody of Star Trek and half a tribute to it.
Okay.
And after 2 seasons, they pulled it off the network, and it's being broadcast on one of those subscription streaming services now.
Which one? Hulu, Netflix?
I don't remember. It's I don't do those, so I'm just waiting for it to come out on video, and I'll just pick up the box set and binge it when it does.
But what everybody is ranting over right now is the Queen's Gambit. Have you seen that?
Mm-mm.
It's about an unorthodox woman, little girl who grows into this chess master, grows up to be a chess master, and it's just a lot of fun. They say that chess sets are like, flying off the shelves at this point.
Well, the only thing I heard, the last show I heard controversy about was that one on Netflix with the little girls who's in the, I think they was cheerleaders. What are they, cheerleaders or something? And a lot of people say, take the show off the networks because you're portraying little girls in a sexual manner. I don't know. I think it was it cheerleaders or gymnasts or something? It was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
And they said,
Yeah.
take it off the network because you're portraying girls in a sexual manner. I don't know if they take it off Netflix or not yet. But that's the last skedaddle.
Well, folks.
Yes, I did make up a word.
That's what we do as thespians.
That's right. Exactly. My cousins are so dumb. Talking about something. Ooh, man, I didn't know he was a lesbian. Like, what? I said a thespian, you dumb. What's that? I say, Lord, I can't find the word. Help me out, Greg.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you're going for here.
He might lead you astray. Well, we're gonna let that be the last word, Jamil.
I can't find the word.
As Lawrence O'Donnell would say.
A thespian, a native, Lord Jesus, to the stage. And he talking about so that means you do like stuff a lot. I say, what the hell is stuff? And I say, are you high? He don't want yeah. I say,
Well, it takes
I
care
only
of
do
that.
stuff when I run out of things to do.